This is Under Review, the show that talks about Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports stories as well. I'm Jordan Long. We're going to start with the Colorado Avalanche. As we all know, they won the 2022 Stanley Cup. They are enjoying being champs, but free agency in the NHL starts on July 13th. The Avalanche will have decisions to make about the current roster on July 13th or even before then. Now they have both restricted free agents and unrestricted free agents. Now the restricted free agents for the Avalanche include Arturi Lehkonen, who scored the game-winning goal in Game 4 against the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Finals to lift the Colorado Avalanche to the Stanley Cup Final in overtime. Of course, his goal in the second period lifted the Avalanche to a 2-1 lead, which ended up being the game-winning goal that actually helped the Avalanche capture the Stanley Cup. The other restricted free agent they have is Nicholas Obi-Kubel, who dented the cup before the team picture. Now with restricted free agents, this is the only good thing is if another franchise offers them a contract, which is a contract offer sheet, the Avalanche can match it. If they don't, then that player will be playing for another team. If you look at the unrestricted free agents, which means these players on July 13th, if nothing happens with the Avalanche, are free to sign with any team. These include Andre Barakasi, Nazim Cadre, Darcy Kemper, Josh Manson, Valerie Nachoskin, Andrew Cogliano, Darren Helm, and Jack Johnson. Again, these are unrestricted free agents, meaning unless something happens before July 13th with the Colorado Avalanche, they are free to sign with any team. Now, the players that I just listed, so all these players that I just listed played an important role to help the Avalanche win the Cup this season. Who do you keep? Well, I would look at Valerie Nachoskin and Andre Barakasi. So that's Andre Barakasi and Nazim Cadre first as the guys to keep. Not saying the others aren't important, but look at Valerie Nachoskin, Andre Barakasi, and Nazim Cadre first. Now, if you look at Nazim Cadre, he was third on the team in scoring with 87 points. He scored 28 goals and added 59 assists. In the postseason, Cadre had 7 goals and 8 assists, including the game winner in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final in overtime. Of course, no one knew it went in except for Bo Byron in that game. But the point is, Nazim Cadre scored the game winner. Now, Cadre showed all year his scoring ability on the second line. You have to find a way to keep him if you're general manager Joe Sakic. He was so valuable to this team. The thing is, though, as much as the Avalanche would like to keep him, the value for him went up. He had a career year. How much is he going to take? How much would Cadre take to stay here? I think the value is too far up that maybe he is not going to come back. But I would love to have Cadre back. But if there's an offer he can't refuse, you have to take it to get paid. Yes, it would be a large loss, but in a salary cap era, you're not going to keep everybody. Andre Barakasi was a great skater for the Avalanche this year. Barakasi, or we call him Berkey here in Colorado, he had 22 goals and 39 assists for 61 points. Again, he had 22 goals and 39 assists for 61 points. Now he totaled 3 goals and 5 assists for 8 points in the playoffs. He also scored the game winner in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final in overtime. Andre Barakasi's value, though, will be less than Nazim Cadre's. Sure, a team would want Barakasi, but his value may have gone down. Not because he isn't a great player, because he is a great goal scorer, but he has a broken ankle that he suffered during the playoffs. It will take a while for him to heal. Yes, he will still be an amazing skater, but when will he be back to 100%? So with that, the Avalanche could keep Andre Barakasi at a cheaper rate than Cadre. Of course, I think Andre Barakasi wants to stay, though. Now, with Valerie Nachoskin, The Avalanche have said he is their priority. And why wouldn't they want Choo Choo? That is his nickname, or Valerie Nachoskin back. In the regular season, he scored 25 goals. He had 25 goals and 27 helpers, which are assists. So he had 25 goals and 27 assists for 52 points. This guy elevated his game in the postseason with 9 goals and 6 assists for 15 points. If it wasn't for Cale Makar, Valerie Nachoskin would have been the Conn Smythe winner as a playoff MVP. Now when it comes to their goaltender, Darcy Kuemper is a free agent. There hasn't been anything said if they want to keep him, but I have to imagine that General Manager Joe Sakic wants to keep Darcy Kuemper. Kuemper in the regular season went 37 wins, 12 losses, and 4 overtime losses with a goals against average of 2.54. His save percentage was .921. In the playoffs, that great play carried over, going 10-4. So that's 10 wins and 4 losses with a goals against average of 2.57 and a save percentage of .902. Now, when it came to the Stanley Cup final, all we heard from the media was the fact the Avalanche didn't have a goaltender. It was going to be Andrei Vasilevsky that was going to outplay Darcy Kuemper. Well, guess what? Kuemper proved them wrong. He went 4-2 in the Stanley Cup final with a goals against average of 2.33 and a save percentage of .908. So I would think Kuemper is going to be back. Not many teams let go of a Stanley Cup championship goaltender. Let's just say they don't keep him. That leaves Pavel Francouz as the only goaltender on the roster. Now, Pavel Francouz played well this season in the regular season, going 15 wins, 5 losses, and 1 overtime loss in the regular season with a goals against average of 2.55 and a save percentage of .916. Francouz actually appeared in 7 playoff games and started 4 of them. Now he went 6-0 with a goals against average of 2.81 and a save percentage of .906. Great numbers, but he hasn't been a number 1 goaltender in the NHL. So who is out there if Kuemper leaves? It's really only one goaltender if you want to look at it that way, and that's Miko Kaskanin. Kaskanin played for the Edmonton Oilers this year, going 27 wins, 12 losses, and 4 overtime losses for the Oilers in the regular season. Unfortunately, his regular season play did not carry over to the postseason. But if you look at his goals against average in the regular season, it was at .310. So it's 3.10, but that's not as good as Darcy Kuemper. Kuemper was better. His save percentage in the regular season, that is Miko Kaskanin, was at .903. In the playoffs, like I just said, his play didn't carry over. Edmonton even went with Mike Smith, the veteran. Miko Kaskanin went 0-2 in the playoffs with a goals against average of 4.02 and a save percentage of .897. So you're looking at a goals against average of 4.02 and a save percentage of .897. That's not good enough. The truth is, if Miko Kaskanin is the best goaltender available in free agency, I would rather have Darcy Kuemper. Kuemper is a much better goaltender than Miko Kaskanin. In the end, though, the Avalanche are still going to be the team to beat in the NHL. Yes, I know they are Stanley Cup champions, and they will be the defending Stanley Cup champions. But look at their roster right now. They have Gabe Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen, and Nathan MacKinnon. Those 3 guys give you a chance to win night in and night out. After that, forwards JT Compher, LOC as we like to call him, or Logan O'Connor, and Alex Newhook add depth. For the defensemen, Devon Toews, and of course Cale Makar, the Norris Trophy winner and the Conn Smythe Trophy winner, can find the back of the net. So whoever the goaltender is, all he needs to do is make the saves, because the offense of the Colorado Avalanche will carry them like it did this year for wins. Now, Joe Sakic will decide who to keep since he is the general manager. There is one player who I believe is going to end up calling it a career, or at least it looked like he's going to. Erik Johnson. I like Johnson. His nickname is the Condor, but he finally won the cup after 14 years in the NHL. He even thought about retiring after last year. When the Colorado Avalanche won the cup, there's a video of him skating by himself in the Tampa Bay's arena, taking it all in. It looked like he had played the last game of his career. Now, I really don't have any information if he's really going to, but my thought process is go out a champion. Not many players get to do that. So let's just say he hangs it up. That would give the Avalanche $6 million in cap space to use in the offseason. The Avalanche, though, are enjoying their win like they should as champions. Next week, the Avalanche turn their attention to the NHL Draft. The first round will be next Thursday, while rounds 2 through 7 will be on Friday. No matter what happens in free agency and the draft, the 2022 Colorado Avalanche will be remembered because they won the cup. They ended their Stanley Cup drought of 21 years. Hopefully, General Manager Joe Sakic finds a way to keep all the players, or at least some players, to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. We're going to move on to the Denver Nuggets. We know that NBA free agency is here, but the Nuggets made a trade this week with the Washington Wizards. Denver sent Will Barton and Monte Morris to Washington. Coming to Denver are Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. I have thought the Nuggets should trade Will Barton. If you've heard me on the show or even on my podcast or even in my blog, I have said I am not a big fan of Will Barton. It's not because he isn't a great player. My problem is his shot selection. Here's the thing about Barton. He played in 71 games for the Nuggets this past season, averaging 14.7 points per game. Now, if you are looking at his points, you're thinking, what's wrong with that? He helped the Denver Nuggets win. The thing is, though, yes, he found his way to score points. It's his three-point selection that I don't like. When he's making three-pointers, he's great. When he starts to miss behind the three-point line, instead of passing the ball to his teammates, he keeps shooting. I don't understand. Get your teammates involved. That's the thing that drives me nuts, is he kept trying to shoot the ball when he was missing. Now he wants to make one, but the problem with doing that is when he misses, that gives opponents the chance to grab rebounds to start fast breaks, and that actually adds to the Nuggets' deficit, or it actually lets those teams back into games if the Nuggets are ahead. Barton shot 36.5% from the three-point line this season. Washington at least gets a guy on paper who can score. The Nuggets drafted the shooting guard of the future in Christian Braun. They drafted him 21st overall, and I think he's going to the future, and he's going to take Will Barton's spot at some point. So it was just a matter of time to get rid of Will Barton. Now for Braun, he's going to be a bench player, but could see some time on the court this upcoming season. That is the 2022-2023 season. Now with Monte Morris, I have said this before. He was the odd man out at the point guard position. The reason why is the Nuggets expect to have a healthy Jamal Murray. Murray's going to be the starting point guard. Behind him is Bones Hyland. Hyland finished his rookie year totaling 10.1 points per game. If you look at Bones Hyland, he actually shot the ball well from beyond the arc. He shot 36.6% from the three-point line, and his numbers are only going to get better. The Nuggets received back Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. Now, Caldwell-Pope is the bigger name in the trade. Ish Smith may get cut, but I have heard that he may stay on the roster. It's all up to Calvin Booth. The Nuggets, if they get rid of Ish Smith, that creates a roster spot. Why? Well, the Nuggets don't need Ish Smith. Even if he stayed, he would be a deep bench player at the point guard position. Getting back to Caldwell-Pope, who is the bigger name in this trade. He averaged 13.2 points per game last year. That is less than Barton's 14.7 points. Okay, that is okay to me. What I like about Caldwell Pope is he can shoot the ball from the three-point line at 39%. I think when the Nuggets looked at their team from last year, they thought they needed a shooter because that was their missing piece. The Nuggets need a player who can nail shots, and that really didn't happen last year. That is what hurt them in the playoff loss against the Golden State Warriors, was the fact they couldn't hit three-point shots, and they basically said, the Golden State Warriors basically said, let's let Nikola Jokic not beat us, but let the other team, that is the Nuggets' whole roster, beat us. It didn't happen because of the fact they were playing great defense on Nikola Jokic, and his team really never got involved. Yes, they won one game, but that was it. Now, free agency has started. The Nuggets will look at even more areas to become an even better team. Of course, the goal is to win the NBA championship. When healthy, the core of Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic can carry this team into the playoffs and be a top 3 or 4 seed in the Western Conference. They want to win the championship. They saw what the parade did for the city and state of Colorado when the Avalanche won it. They want to have the same feeling. The playoffs, though, is what matters. So do something in the playoffs to get yourself into a top 3 or 4 seed, and then see what you can do with the goal of winning the championship. General Manager Calvin Booth is going to do what is best for the team moving forward. The thing is, though, the Nuggets want to do what the Avalanche just did, and that is to win an NBA championship. Of course, the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, but the Nuggets want to win an NBA championship. Hopefully Denver can, even though that the Western Conference is really, really tough. But hey, if they have a healthy core, I like their chances. We're going to move on to the Utah Jazz, and this will be our last subject. It's the fact that the Utah Jazz have a new head coach, Will Hardy. Now, Utah's head coach, Quinn Snyder, resigned on June 5th, 2022. In past shows, I talked about how surprised I was that he decided to step down. A lot is going on with his team and the front office. Their two stars of Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell don't want to play with each other, which is a front office problem. The general manager should really get together with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and say, let's work this out. But that's not going to happen. They have to decide who they want to keep. That is part of the reason why Quinn Snyder decided he was done coaching the Utah Jazz. Snyder was an excellent coach for the Jazz. He went 372 wins and 264 losses as the Utah Jazz head coach. If you add that up, that is 108 games over 500, a winning percentage of .585. Snyder coached the Utah Jazz to 6 straight playoffs, not series necessarily, but playoff appearances. I know they didn't advance to the Western Conference Finals, but if you're going to 6 straight playoffs, that means you are playing meaningful games. The goal for any NBA team is to play meaningful NBA playoff games, and that's what he did. It was very surprising that the front office didn't figure out the beef between Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell and said, all right, see you later, Quinn Snyder. We'll let you resign. Anyway, Snyder decided to leave the Utah Jazz. That left the Jazz looking for a new head coach. They started a coaching search. To find their new head coach. Among the candidates who had NBA coaching experience were Terry Stotts and Frank Vogel. I like Stotts, and I've said this through previous episodes of Under Review that I do like Terry Stotts. Now, he coached Portland from 2012 to 2021. That is Terry Stotts. His stops include Atlanta and Milwaukee. He was most successful in Portland with an impressive record of 402 and 318. Portland went to the playoffs 8 times, but never advanced to an NBA Finals. His overall record as an NBA head coach, though, that is Terry Stotts, is 517, to 486, a winning percentage of .515. What more do you want from a coach? I was very, very surprised they didn't consider Stotts. Maybe they interviewed him, but I never saw that. He would have made a lot of sense. Stotts knows how to coach a superstar. He had Damian Lillard. That is, he had Damian Lillard in Portland and always got the best of his players. He got the best out of its players, I should say. Well, Utah didn't go with him. Vogel would have made sense. That is, Frank Vogel would have made sense too. He has 11 years of NBA head coaching experience. His stops include Indiana, Orlando, and the LA Lakers. His overall record as an NBA head coach is 431 and 389. So 431 wins and 389 losses. A winning percentage of .526. His teams went to the playoffs 7 times. He won the NBA championship with the LA Lakers in 2020. Yes, you could argue that shouldn't really count, but it was in the bubble in a neutral site in Orlando. But guess what? He won it, even though that there really wasn't a crowd that was going nuts. So fans weren't there, but still, they won it. It made it a lot easier for the Lakers to get the job done without fans. And it's a neutral site. Now, this past season wasn't his fault. The Lakers brought in Russell Westbrook to team up with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. It didn't work. The Lakers went 33 and 49. LA decided that the scapegoat for the poor season was Vogel when it wasn't. So the Utah Jazz had candidates who had NBA head coaching experience. It was surprising that they didn't decide to go with either one. They didn't go with Vogel or Stotts. They went instead and hired Will Hardy, who's never been an NBA head coach. He has been an assistant coach in the NBA the past 6 years. From 2016 to 2021, he was on Greg Popovich's staff. So Greg Popovich actually had him as an assistant coach in San Antonio. Hardy moved on from San Antonio following the 2021 season. This past season, he was with Ime Udoka in Boston. Now, Boston went 51 and 31, second in the Eastern Conference. So the fact of the matter is, the Boston Celtics went 51 and 31, second in the Eastern Conference. They went all the way to the NBA Finals, but lost to the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. Hardy has his chance to lead the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz will be patient with him because they have in the past. Here are their last 3 coaches. Jerry Sloan, longtime head coach for the Jazz, was there from 1988 to 2011, 23 seasons. Tyrone Corbin took over for Sloan for the final 28 games of the 2011 to 2014 season. He was let go after a 25 and 27 record. Of course, Quinn Snyder was there for 8 seasons. So he's going to have his chance, but he can have some losing seasons. If they do, he will be gone, but the Jazz will be patient. Of course, I hope he succeeds. I'm Jordan Long. This has been Under Review. Read my blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. Check out all the shows that we have on the Sideline Network and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have shows every single day, so if you subscribe, you will not miss any of them. This has been a Sideline Sports production.